There is a specific kind of person who cannot walk past an unfinished thing without feeling something almost sacred stir inside them. You've seen him before, even if you did not recognize him at first. He's the one with grease under his fingernails that no amount of scrubbing fully removes. The one whose camera roll is full of engine bays and rust spots and parts laid out on a concrete floor like surgical instruments. He speaks about a machine the way other people speak about an old friend, or a father, or a version of themselves they are still trying to become. Years pass, life changes, money comes and goes, relationships begin and end, and still that car remains. Sometimes under a cover, sometimes on jack stands, sometimes half disassembled in a garage that smells like oil, dust, and time. He says he will finish it one day, and maybe he believes that, but belief is not really the point. Because this isn't really about cars. It never was. On the surface, it looks simple enough. A man buys a project car, he imagines what it could become. He strips it down, makes plans, orders parts, studies forums, watches videos late into the night, pictures the first drive after everything finally comes together. Then life intervenes. Work gets heavier. Money gets tighter. The right part becomes harder to find. A bolt snaps. A small problem reveals three larger ones. The car sits longer than expected, then longer than that. Soon, it becomes one of those strange objects in life that belongs equally to the past and the future, never fully arriving in the present. And yet, he keeps it. He does not sell it when logic says he should. He does not always touch it, but he cannot let it go. That is the part people around him often fail to understand. To them, it is just a machine, and not even a functioning one. It takes space, it absorbs money, it becomes a standing symbol of incomplete effort. It is easy, from the outside, to call it impractical, sentimental, irresponsible, even delusional. But those judgments miss the deeper truth. The unfinished project car is rarely just an unfinished project car. More often, it is a container for identity. Human beings do this all the time. We attach meaning to objects, not because the object deserves it, but because the object has silently witnessed a part of our inner life. A guitar becomes the symbol of the artist you once thought you might become. A stack of books becomes evidence of the person you still hope to be. An old house, a watch, a desk, a jacket, a tool chest, a dead laptop full of abandoned files. These things are never only things. They become evidence. They testify for a private version of the self. For some men, a project car becomes exactly that. Not transportation, not even a hobby in the shallow sense of the word. It becomes proof that there is still something in them that wants to build instead of merely consume, to understand instead of outsource, to shape reality with their own hands instead of renting convenience from other people. That desire matters more than most people admit. Modern life trains people into a passive relationship with the world. Most things arrive sealed, digitized, optimized, and inaccessible. If something breaks, you replace it. If it becomes difficult, you upgrade. If you do not understand how it works, that is normal now. In fact, the world is increasingly designed so that you do not need to know. But some men cannot make peace with that arrangement. Something in them resists it. They do not just want to use things, they want to know them. They want to open them up, see the hidden structure, understand the logic underneath the surface, and maybe even improve it. In psychology, there is a concept called internal locus of control. It describes the tendency to believe that your life is shaped, at least in part, by your own actions rather than by outside forces. Men who hold on to project cars often carry a powerful version of that instinct. Working on an old machine gives them a rare feeling that the world is not entirely abstract, not entirely controlled by institutions, algorithms, and invisible systems. Here, cause and effect still exist. Here, if you learn enough, try enough, persist enough, something dead can come back to life. That is not a small thing. For a man who feels powerless in other areas of life, the garage can become one of the last honest places left. The car does not care about his resume. It does not care whether he sounds confident in meetings. It does not respond to performance, only to competence. It demands patience, observation, humility, and pattern recognition. It punishes arrogance. It rewards attention. If there is a problem, there is a reason. If the engine will not start, the truth is there somewhere, hidden but real. This is deeply comforting to people who are exhausted by the psychological fog of modern adulthood, where effort and reward often feel disconnected, where people pretend more than they understand, and so much of life seems governed by forces that cannot be seen, repaired, or trusted. So when a man keeps a project car he never finishes, what he may really be preserving is a relationship to meaning itself. Of course, there is another layer beneath that, and it is less flattering. Sometimes the unfinished car is also a shield, because as long as the car remains unfinished, it remains perfect in one important way. It cannot disappoint him. The imagined future version of it stays intact. It can still become anything. The finished thing, by contrast, would be real, and reality has edges. It would reveal the limits of his skill, his taste, his patience, his resources. It might not feel the way he imagined. It might not fix whatever ache he unconsciously attached to it. It might just become another car. So the mind does something clever. It delays completion, not always deliberately, but in 1,000 subtle ways. More research, more waiting, a better part later, another plan, a deeper rebuild, a more complete vision. This is not laziness in the ordinary sense. It is often a quiet form of self-protection. Psychologists sometimes describe something similar through the lens of self-handicapping and avoidance. If the final test never truly arrives, neither does the final verdict. As long as the car is still a project, the dream remains undefeated. That is uncomfortable, but true. Many people do not cling to unfinished things because they are committed to the outcome. They cling to them because unfinished things preserve possibility, and possibility can feel safer than reality. Still, that's not the whole story either. Because if you look closely, many of these men are not chasing perfection as much as they are preserving memory. The car often connects them to an earlier emotional world they do not know how to access directly. Maybe it reminds them of a father who was easier to understand with a wrench in his hand than in conversation. Maybe it brings back the sound of a garage radio in childhood, or the smell of gasoline on a summer evening, or a period of life when time felt open and identity felt unwritten. Sometimes the project car is one of the few socially acceptable ways a man can stay in contact with tenderness. He may not know how to say that he misses being young, or that he feels far away from himself, or that he is trying to recover something intimate and wordless from the past. But he can say he is rebuilding an old car. He can say he is keeping it because it matters. And in a way, that is his confession. This is one of the quieter truths about men in particular. Many of them are taught very early to translate emotion into function. They are not always encouraged to grieve directly, long directly, or remember directly. So they do it sideways, through tools, through rituals, through maintenance, through objects that give them a reason to keep returning to a feeling without having to name it. The project car becomes a language. And like all languages, it says more than the speaker realizes. It says that some part of him still believes broken things can be restored. It says he trusts process more than performance. It says he is willing to be alone with a difficult task for no immediate applause. It says he values mastery, even if he has not yet achieved it. It says he would rather build something slowly than borrow something polished. It says that status for him may not come from appearing finished, but from being the kind of person who can engage with complexity without looking away. That is why these men are often misunderstood. To the outside world, the unfinished car can look like irresponsibility.
To the man keeping it, it may feel like the last thread connecting him to patience, dignity, craftsmanship, memory, and self-respect. Yes, sometimes there is sunk cost fallacy involved, the psychological tendency to keep investing in something because you have already invested so much. But reducing it to that alone would be too shallow. Not every irrational attachment is stupidity. Sometimes it is biography. And maybe that is why these stories resonate so deeply, even with people who have never touched a wrench. Because almost everyone has some version of a project car in their life. Something they cannot fully justify, yet cannot fully abandon. A dream they have not completed. A version of themselves they have not buried. An old ambition sitting somewhere in the background, gathering dust but refusing to die. Most people do not keep these things in a garage. They keep them in the mind. An unwritten book, a business idea, a degree they never finished, a city they still think about, a conversation they never had, a life they still imagine might begin if the timing ever becomes right.
So when you see a man standing in front of a car he has owned for years, still telling himself that one day he will get back to it, do not be too quick to laugh at him. He may be doing something more human than he appears. He may be protecting the fragile belief that he is not finished either. Because perhaps the real reason some men never let go of those cars is not that they love the machine too much. It is that letting go would force them to admit that a certain chapter of their own life is over, and they are not ready to say that yet. Keeping the car means keeping the door open. It means the younger self still has a voice. It means the future is still negotiable. It means the part of him that wanted to make something beautiful with his own hands has not been completely defeated by routine, fatigue, compromise, and time. And maybe that is why this subject feels so personal, even now. Because if you are honest, the question is not really whether there is an old machine somewhere in your life that you cannot quite let go of. The question is, what unfinished thing are you still holding on to, because finishing it or losing it would force you to confront who you have become?